How is my code worth $100,000 less than theirs? That's the question keeping Maya, a 5-year backend engineer, staring at a job posting at 10 p.m. Senior Generative AI Engineer. Base salary $220,000 to $350,000. She earns $115,000. Her mind is racing. I write clean code, design systems. How is that obsolete? This feeling of being both deeply competent and suddenly left behind is paralyzing software engineers everywhere. But what if that gap, that $100,000 chasm, wasn't a chasm at all? What if it was a myth? The belief that you need a PhD to break in is a lie. For an experienced software engineer, 70% of the skills for that $300,000 job are already in your fingers. Your Python, your APIs, your databases, your system design, that is the foundation. This video isn't a plan to start from zero. It is the 6-month roadmap for the other 30%. The complete path for a software engineer to become a GenAI engineer. Imagine your skills are building blocks labeled Python, APIs, and SQL. For a GenAI role, 70% of those blocks stay exactly where they are. We're just adding a few new ones on top. And that small addition is what closes the salary gap between the average senior software engineer at $162,000 and GenAI roles starting at $220,000. The question isn't if you can make this transition. The question is, what's the exact plan for that critical 30%? In month 4, I'll show you the one portfolio project that makes you look like a top 1% candidate. And stick around, because in the final section, I'll give you the exact keywords that got Maya's LinkedIn profile 3 times more recruiter messages. Your 6-month plan starts now. Month 1 is all about one project that proves you can think in this new world. So you're ready to tackle that 30%. The first step feels like jumping a canyon. The immediate instinct for any good engineer is to go deep. You start looking up research papers. Maybe you add a machine learning textbook to your Amazon cart, assuming the path must start with theory. Let me know in the comments, is your first instinct to grab a textbook or to start coding? Be honest. This is the exact trap Maya almost fell into. She expected her first weekend to be filled with complex math. Instead, she found herself doing something deeply familiar, writing a Python script. She went to the OpenAI website, created an account, and generated an API key. She imported the request library, a tool she'd used 1,000 times. She built a simple question and answer bot that could read a single text file and answer questions about it. The bot working wasn't the breakthrough. The breakthrough was the gut punch realization that followed. This is just an API. A very powerful, almost magical API, but an API nonetheless. She'd been integrating APIs for her entire career. The core belief that she needed to become a research scientist shattered. It was replaced by a new, much more empowering one. She just needed to become a systems builder who could use a new set of tools. The barrier to entry didn't just get lower, it completely collapsed. This first project is your entry ticket. It's a simple retrieval augmented generation system, or RAG. All you're doing is taking a document, breaking it into smaller chunks, using an API to turn those chunks into numerical representations, and storing them. When a user asks a question, you find the most relevant chunks and pass them to the language model with the question. That's it. It's a data engineering problem, one that proves you can build. And in a world where 78% of companies have adopted AI, they are desperate for builders, not just theorists. This simple Q&A bot becomes the first tangible entry under Gen AI projects on your resume. It proves you've started. To make this first step even easier, I've created a GitHub gist with the exact Python boilerplate code Maya used for her first RAG chatbot. The link is in the description. Grab it, get your API key, and you can have this running in 20 minutes. And if you want a detailed checklist and project templates for this entire 6-month plan, I've put everything into a comprehensive guide called From Software Engineer to AI Engineer. That link is also in the description. But a 20-minute toy project doesn't get you a 6-figure raise. The moment you try to make it real, you hit a wall. This brings us to months 2 and 3, building a production rate system. Maya's first project was a huge confidence boost, but it had a clear limitation. It worked on one text file. To build something truly useful, she needed to level up. Her next goal? Build a Q&A bot over a dense 100-page PDF. And that's where her simple script shattered. It couldn't handle the complexity of parsing, chunking, and managing the data flow for a document that large. This is the exact moment an engineer transitions from a hobbyist to a professional builder. It's where you stop writing scripts and start building systems with frameworks. The first tool she needed was an orchestrator. Think of it like a general contractor for your AI application. This is the role of LangChain. It's an open source framework that connects all the different pieces: the data loaders, the text splitters, the language model, and the data storage. It provides the plumbing so you don't have to build it from scratch. Next, she needed a specialized database. Her simple bot held everything in memory, but with thousands of document chunks, that's not feasible. She needed a vector database. Imagine trying to find a book in a library not by its title, but by the idea inside it. A vector database does exactly that for data. It stores the numerical representations of your text chunks in a way that makes it incredibly fast to find the most conceptually similar information. She started with ChromaDB, an open source option that's easy to run on your machine. Then, as she thought about production scale, she explored managed services like Pinecone. What's your vector database of choice right now? Chroma, Pinecone, or something else? Share your pick in the comments below. As Maya started learning LangChain, she almost went down the wrong path. A path that cost another engineer, Alex, 6 months and his confidence. Alex, a senior software engineer just like Maya, saw the GenAI hype and dove in headfirst. He bought textbooks on deep learning. He started a course on TensorFlow. He spent his nights learning the intricacies of neural network architecture. For 6 months, he studied, feeling like he was making progress. When he finally felt ready and started applying for jobs, the interviews were a disaster. He couldn't answer a single practical question about building a retrieval augmented generation system. Hiring managers didn't care about his theoretical knowledge of transformers. They wanted to see what Maya had just built, a working application that solved a real business problem. Alex's story is the cautionary tale that validates this entire roadmap. He spent months on the wrong 30% and got zero results, making him feel like this transition was impossible. His mistake confirms you are on the right path. LinkedIn's own data identified AI engineering and implementation as the number one category for skills on the rise. Not AI theory, not research, implementation, the ability to build. By focusing on LangChain for orchestration and a vector database for retrieval, you're learning the exact production-ready stack companies are hiring for right now. You now know you don't need a dozen complex tools. You just need to master these 2 or 3 to solve the high-value problem of RAG. You've avoided the biggest trap. You have the production stack. But to truly stand out, you need to show you're not just following the playbook. You need to show you're writing the next chapter. This is your goal for month 4. By month 4, Maya's portfolio has 2 solid RAG projects. She's confident. She's built something that works, something that solves a real problem. The natural thought is, and there, I'm a GenAI engineer. But the market moves fast, and what was a differentiator yesterday is the baseline today. This is when she sees a job description for a senior role that mentions a new term: experience with agentic workflows. Instead of feeling intimidated, she recognizes an opportunity. This is the skill that separates the competent from the truly sought after. This is the top 1% project I promised you. Many engineers at this stage think the next logical step is fine-tuning a model. And while knowing when to fine-tune is important, usually for style, tone, or specific formatting, it's often a premature and expensive optimization. For a systems builder, the more powerful next step is agentic AI. This is a huge topic. Are you more excited about building agents that can use external tools, or agents that can reason over complex internal data? Let me know which path you'd take. A large language model is a brilliant brain in a jar. A RAG system gives that brain a library to read. An agent gives that brain hands and tools. You give it a goal and a set of tools like a calculator, a search API, or your company's own internal APIs. The agent then figures out which tool to use in what order to accomplish the goal. It can reason, plan, and execute multi step tasks. So Maya builds her third standout project. It's a simple agent built with LangChain. She gives it a question that requires multiple steps, like what is the current market cap of Nvidia, and how does that compare to the GDP of Switzerland? The agent first uses a search tool to find Nvidia's market cap. Then it uses another search to find Switzerland's GDP. Finally, it uses a calculator tool to perform the comparison and synthesizes a final answer. This is the project that makes her portfolio exceptional. In an interview, she can now go beyond explaining how she built a RAG app to retrieve information. She can explain how she designed an autonomous system to solve a complex problem. This demonstrates a forward looking perspective. It shows she's not just implementing known patterns, but engaging with the cutting edge. According to Gartner, generative AI will require 80% of the engineering workforce to upskill by 2027. This skill, building agents, is the exact upskill they mean. It's what unlocks the senior level salaries. If this roadmap is giving you the clarity you've been looking for, make sure you're subscribed. We are doing the deep dive on building agentic systems with LangGraph versus Crew AI next month, and you won't want to miss it. This brings us to the final phase, months 5 and 6. You have the skills, you have the portfolio. But skills are useless if recruiters can't find you. The final step is to stop looking like who you were and start looking like who you are. This is where most engineers get stuck. They have the capability, but their resume and LinkedIn profile still scream software engineer. They worry recruiters will just pass them by, looking for someone with an official AI engineer title for the last 5 years. This is a legitimate fear, but it's solved with a simple, deliberate rebranding. Imagine Maya's LinkedIn profile before the change. Her headline just says software engineer. Her bullet points are vague. Develop backend services using Python, managed cloud infrastructure. It's accurate, but it's invisible to a recruiter searching for AI talent. Go take a look at your own LinkedIn headline right now. Does it reflect the job you want or the job you have? Drop a guilty in the comments if you know it needs an update. Now, picture the after. Her headline is the first most critical change. It becomes software engineer with an AI and ML focus. This simple phrase is the key. It honors her deep software experience while signaling her new specialization. It's the password that gets her past the first filter. Then, she transforms her project descriptions. Vague bullet points become impact driven statements about her 3 new portfolio projects. She adds a new section to her resume titled Generative AI Projects. Underneath, she lists the exact keywords hiring managers are scanning for: retrieval augmented generation or RAG, LLM integration, LangChain, vector databases, and the one that sets her apart, agentic workflows. In an interview, she doesn't just describe the tech stack. She frames it as a business solution. She explains how her project ingests company documents to answer employee questions, reducing the time it takes to find information. She's not just a software engineer who knows some AI. She has become a GenAI engineer with a strong software foundation. This is the identity shift that completes the transition and unlocks the interviews and the offers. You don't need permission to change your title. You just need the projects to back it up. You have the full 6-month plan, you know what to build and how to sell it. But the biggest danger right now is letting this be just another video you watch. The momentum you feel can fade by tomorrow morning. This plan becomes another bookmark in a folder labeled Someday. Let's break that cycle. Your 6-month journey doesn't start with a 40-hour course or a textbook. It doesn't start this weekend. It starts tonight, with one small, irreversible win. Your only goal for the next 15 minutes is to prove to yourself that this is real. I want you to go to OpenAI's website, create an account, and get an API key. Then, open your code editor and write a simple Python script to make one successful API call. Just one. Print Hello World from GPT 4.0. That's it. That single successful API call is the first milestone. It's the moment that job posting, the $220,000 salary that felt impossible, becomes a tangible line of code that you wrote, that you ran, that works. It's the proof that you've started. That first API call is your entry ticket. For now, tonight, just get that API key. Tonight, you stop feeling obsolete. Tonight, you start building.